I'm sure for most of you guys, this movie was not even on y'all's radar, and I have seen like little to no marketing for this movie, which is a shame because Ordinary Angels is an absolute delight of a film and, dare I say, even sets a new bar for Christian movies as a whole. Let's dive into it here on Should Catholics Watch? Hi, I'm Mateo Rivera, the Cinematic Catholic, and Ordinary Angels starring Hilary Swank is the true story of a hairdresser who single-handedly rallies an entire community to help a widowed father save the life of his critically ill young daughter. And guys, I have a lot to say about this movie, so let's just dive right into it. First of all, Hilary Swank is phenomenal. She really channels her inner Erin Brockovich for this role. When we meet Sharon, she's just sort of cruising through life, a functioning alcoholic that's pretty much stuck in the same routine until she sees a newspaper about a family that's really had a rough go at life these last few years. And she takes it upon herself to fundraise and eventually bring the entire town together in support of this sick child. And what I love about this movie right off the bat is that it shows that you do not have to be perfect to follow God's will. Sharon has her own issues that she struggles with and that sometimes even get the best of her. But still, there was a reason why she was placed in these people's lives. And when push comes to shove, she does what is needed to make sure that this kid, Michelle, and her family are well taken care of. Also, I think we finally cracked the code on how to make good Christian movies. Because films like God's Not Dead had their time, okay? That was certainly a movie. But now with movies like Father Stu, Fatima, Cabrini, and now this, I think that the best way to make good movies that show how amazing God's love and power is to tell the amazing true stories of the lives that he's touched and how he has used people like Sharon Stevens to show his love to us, because there really are some amazing real stories out there from the lives of the saints to just everyday ordinary people, which is why I love the title of this movie, Ordinary Angels. Now, I will say this film doesn't quite escape the after school special vibe completely, and there are a few points where the message itself is a little on the nose. There is one scene in particular where the dad and his eldest daughter are going to bring flowers to his wife's grave, and at a certain point, his kid just turns and looks at him and says, "Dad, are you mad at God because mom died?" And it did take me out of the movie for a second. One, because that kid probably needs to learn how to be a little more subtle, but two, people don't really talk like that. Like, it did feel like the film was telling me, like,
and this is the point where we show that it's tough to have a relationship with God sometimes, but communication and prayer.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure you guys get it. But honestly, besides maybe like two moments like that in the film, I was very invested and pulled in completely to this story. The acting from the entire cast across the board was pretty solid, especially with the kids, which, you know, sometimes can be a toss-up. Alan Ritchson was very good in this movie, and I know that he's known for his more action roles and stuff like Jack Reacher, and granted, I've never watched that show, but he was very good at those small, subtle moments in this film when you can tell that all he wants to do is just break down and just let everything out, but he feels that he needs to be strong for his kids. He has to keep moving forward, even if it takes everything that he has and then some to even just get out of bed in the morning. And I like that the film wasn't afraid to address some of those more darker topics like depression and addiction with Sharon's alcoholism. Which does bring me to, I did do some fact checking about this movie after I had watched it, because it is just an amazing larger than life story. And what I found was very interesting. Basically, the parts of the movie that you're like, that has to be, you know, done because of the film. Like, there's no way that that happened in real life. Those parts are all true. But the character elements and some of the internal struggles that they have, that's the part that Hollywood kind of embellished a bit for the big screen. For example, there's an entire plot line about how Sharon has a son and they're estranged and they haven't spoken in years. Apparently, that's not true. And the whole reason for them not speaking is her alcoholism, which also apparently is not true. In fact, the real Sharon Stevens was extremely against alcohol because her mom was an alcoholic and she saw how devastating that can be. But again, I think it still works for the movie because it does show that, again, like, you don't have to be perfect to follow God, but also it shows how alcoholism can affect you and those closest to you, which was a big belief that Sharon herself did have. I just think it's funny to picture the real Sharon Stevens going to her friends and family and being like, hey guys, they're making a movie about my life. Please don't pay attention to the fact that I'm an alcoholic in it and my son hates me. But besides that, like, woo! So in the end, yes, I absolutely loved this movie. All the emotional beats were there. It knew how to perfectly tug on the heartstrings. I will say I don't just cry at like anything, but I'm also not afraid to cry if a movie really like hits me in my feels. And this movie had me choked up for pretty much the entire last half of it. And I think there were some real tears that leaked out there. Also, despite the fact that this movie does kind of go into a few darker themes, I think as long as your kids have a basic understanding of what alcoholism is, what sickness and death looks like, I think this actually is a good movie for the entire family to go and watch. Yes, that's right. Congratulations, little Timmy. You finally got one, but just this one. And of course, I highly recommend that you guys go catch this while it's playing in theaters, because remember, if we want them to continue to make good Christian movies, then we have to support them when they make them and they're actually good. So please guys, go see this movie in theaters. Again, highly recommend it. And for my cinephile score, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I absolutely love these movies. It feels like an independent feature with great acting, and I love movies about family and the lengths that we will go to protect them. And for my Catholic score, I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. There is no mention of the Catholic Church specifically in this movie, but Sharon Stevens really did ask, what would Jesus do? And then she went and did it. And I think that this movie can inspire a lot of us to do the same. But guys, that is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you have seen Ordinary Angels, let me know in the comments down below. What did you think of it? But once again, my name is Mateo Rivera, and until next time, hasta la vista.